Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Devil's Digest postgame show following Arizona State's 35-31 victory over Kansas. This marks ASU's first Big 12 win of the season. My name is Justin Lacertosa. I'm with publisher Hode Rubino. And Hode, coming out of bye week since 2014, Arizona State's record was 3-8. Not that great, and at moments in this game, kind of seemed like it moved to 3-9, but Arizona State responded, overcame adversity, and came out with the win.
Yeah, Justin, I mean, I'm trying to be really creative with how I'm describing these wins, but this is almost a carbon copy of the win against Mississippi State, also the win against Texas State for that matter. This team puts itself in a hole, let's say the Texas State game in specific. Against Mississippi State, they almost give the game away, but ASU finds ways to win. And that's why I picked ASU to win a close game. I was off by the score, but the game was definitely close because I just saw an ASU team that finds ways to win, playing a Kansas team that finds ways to lose. Kansas, after tonight, is riding a 5-game losing streak. So there is definitely something to be said about the character and DNA of both of those teams. ASU, really quiet, first half, definitely a quiet third quarter. But in the fourth quarter, they score 21 points. And by the way, they give up 14. So this is the first ever meeting between ASU and Kansas on the gridiron. It was a sold-out crowd, and those guys and everybody in the stands over here definitely got the money's worth. Another white-knuckle win, but they all do count the same. And probably we should also say that ASU now with 4 wins eclipses the number of wins they had in each of the last 2 seasons. So again, we're not talking about huge strides, but we're definitely talking about strides in the right direction. And to your boy, Justin, I thought it was really important for ASU coming out of the bye week to prove that they can win a game against a team like Kansas, which is absolutely desperate for a victory. And it definitely looked like in the fourth quarter that they might just get off the snide. But Arizona State had some different thoughts on that matter.
Yeah, you mentioned it. 21 points in the fourth quarter for Arizona State. But at times in this game, that offense was a little bit streaky, and we'll take it back to a play, a pretty wide-open pass for Jordan Tyson, who drops it, fumbles it, and it's a pick. And it goes the other way. But Jordan Tyson's the guy who closed out this game for ASU. So what did you see out of ASU's offense down the stretch of this game? Yeah,
first of all, I talk about wide receiver Jordan Tyson. Scores 2 touchdowns, including the winning touchdown of the game. But to your point, Justin, 2 big mistakes early on in the game. Did have the fumble after he caught the ball, ran back, and then did fumble the ball. And then another ball that behind the end zone behind us just went off his fingertips for interception. So it's just one of those games where you go from I'm not gonna say villain to hero, but you go from a very bad game to actually being the hero, and that's what really happened with Jordan Tyson. I don't think Sam Levitt, the quarterback, really had an outstanding game, but he did have 4 touchdown passes when it was all said and done. But this is not breaking news. ASU, and especially its offense, is really going to go as far as the running game is going to carry them. They definitely had some struggles, I think, in the first half. But when you look at the final stats, 313 yards rushing. The second time this year already, through 5 games, that they eclipsed the 300-yard mark. The first one, obviously, the win against Mississippi State. Cam Scadaboo, 25 carries, 186 yards, 1 touchdown, averaging over 7 yards a carry. Maybe the running back by committee didn't work all that great, but a win is a win, and Cam Scadaboo continues to prove that in a Big 12 conference that is absolutely littered with unbelievable running backs, he's right there with the best of the best in the league. So the Arizona State offense, I think, again, definitely had some struggles in the first half and mainly in the third quarter. But when you score 20 points in the fourth quarter, you really deserve to win this game. So we definitely give kudos to Arizona State for really taking care of business when it matters the most.
And yeah, Hode, Kansas now 1-5 on the season, but 31 points scored, 14 in that fourth quarter, and a couple targeting penalties called on ASU in this game, but especially in the beginning of that third quarter, some of the stops that defense made really helped overcome those odds down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard for a team in such a close game to yield 14 points in the final frame and still win the game. But to your point, Justin, especially I think in the third quarter, they were able to muster one stop, after another. The targeting penalties are huge, and they're going to have implications also for next week's game against Utah. Two of the star players, defensive end Clayton Smith and linebacker Keyshawn Elliott, obviously key players on this side of the ball for ASU. Both of them were ejected due to targeting penalties. And look, I mean, I'm not going to even try to pretend that there weren't a lot of controversial calls, including those targeting penalties. But it is troubling that ASU, much like their game against Texas Tech, are really racking up the penalty yards. They had 70 tonight, and just having also pass interference by Keith Abney on a third down play. It's just that sequence of plays, which again you can call them controversial, you can call them absolutely judgment calls that just did not go ASU's ways by any means. But these are just key moments in the game that almost put ASU and this game in the loss column. So it's something that they definitely will have to clean up for next week. I also have to say that special teams having the missed field goal by Ian Hershey early in the game obviously caused ASU to go for the jugular and go for a touchdown rather than a field goal to tie the game, because I don't think anybody wanted to go into overtime tonight. This game was just had a very unexpected twists and turns here. But we talk about special teams, talk about Canyon Floyd not only doing a great job punting the ball, but also on a fake punt, finding Clayton Smith. I guess all those main event segments in practice did work out for Clayton Smith, because we got to see some of his receiving skills during fall camp during those fun segments. But in all seriousness, this is a defense that really, I would say, kind of like the Texas State game, Justin, like really had their teeth knocked in early in the game, then they're able to settle down. But then, late in the game, still struggled just like they did in the first quarter. But they did not give up the Hail Mary. And a lot of people thought that it was maybe an ominous sign that the Hail Mary anniversary was just yesterday, and maybe Kansas was going to give ASU a taste of their own medicine 10 years later. But that obviously did not happen. Really up and down game for the defense. And I think, to me, the thing that struck me the most, we were talking a lot about Kansas's running game and what a challenge it was going to be for Arizona State. Well, Devin Neal, the star running back, only had 71 yards. Did score one touchdown, but Kansas as a whole only had 51 yards. Their quarterback, Jalen Daniels, definitely showed his dual threat capabilities time and time again, but it's a very modest number for a Kansas team that averages 226 yards rushing coming into tonight. But Daniels, to his credit, had 260 yards passing. So I think you had an ASU defense that really was preparing, much more for the running game. But it's really the passing game that I felt that really caught them flat-footed. And we saw a lot of plays that we saw maybe against like the Texas State, where just opposing wide receivers were just running rampant, running backs on real routes out of the backfield. We're really finding pay dirt. 3 of Kansas's touchdowns were either 30-yard passes or 30-yard runs. So it's not only that Kansas scored, but Kansas scored in ways that really hurt ASU. I think from a mental standpoint. The bottom line is the bottom line. I mean, they did put this game in the win column, but it's still a defense that I did expect a better performance, especially against the pass. But maybe just those targeting penalties against Keyshawn Elliott and Clayton Smith, and just maybe some creativity by the Kansas coaching staff, which really caught the Sun Devils flat-footed at times, really caused some issues. But again, what they were able to do earlier in the game, especially in the third quarter, really paid dividends in a fourth quarter, which the ASU defense did struggle, but what their fruits of their labor earlier in the contest did pay off.
Yeah, so ASU now moves to 4-1 on the season. Again, first conference win for ASU so far this year. But as Kenny Dillingham has said time and time again, the toughest opponents are in the future, and arguably ASU's toughest opponent all season, and Utah will be coming here to Mountain America Stadium next Friday, potentially with Cam Rising as well in that lineup. So going against arguably the best team in this entire Big 12 conference, what do you think ASU needs to do better to potentially capitalize on that and get a statement victory here in Tempe.
Well, obviously the Sun Devils have a huge task on their hands, playing a very dangerous team without Keyshawn Elliott and Clayton Smith, for the first half. So it's almost like minimize the bleeding, if that's how the game goes, the first 2 quarters. And when you do get those 2 players back in the lineup for the second half, maybe you can play even better. But you're getting a Utah team that I think we talked about also in our preview. They're coming off their own bye week. I have no doubt in my mind that quarterback Cam Rising is going to be ready and able to play this game. And I think with ASU you have another win, which is not going to produce a pretty film session by any means. And yes, I always say, and my opinion does not change, much easier to fix your shortcomings and your deficiencies after a win than versus after a loss. But there really is a lot to fix for Arizona State. Is this really not a clean game from start to finish? And maybe that's utopia. Maybe there's not a team on this planet that's really able to play that well. I mean, you see Alabama having a hangover after that big win against Georgia, losing to Vanderbilt, the worst team in the SEC. But I just would like to see a more consistent effort by Arizona State, really cleaning up their mistakes, especially in coverages, really cleaning up the penalties, and just really finding a way to get this passing game going. I know when you can look at the box score and you see Sam Levitt with 4 passing touchdowns, you really think this passing game was just clicking on all cylinders, and just the second year for the Jayhawks looked absolutely lost the entire night. And I really don't think that was the case. You give credit to the offense making plays when it mattered the most, but there's no doubt in my mind that they're facing a much better defense in Utah than they faced tonight against Kansas. So that's really going to be one hell of a task. But again, it's a small step. Getting 4 wins, you're only 2 wins away from bowl eligibility, a feat that a lot of people thought that ASU was incapable of achieving this year. So I'm just curious to see how they come out against Utah. Also a short week. They're playing on a Friday night. Yes, it's here in Tempe, so that definitely helps. But it's really going to be quite a task. And again, they're facing a Utah team that is rested, that is very, very talented, that more than likely is getting their starting quarterback back. So it's definitely going to be on another challenge. But I don't know if we were in store for another fun white knuckle win next week in Tempe, but I'll tell you what, Justin, I'm not putting anything past this ASU team, because I know this game was going to be close, but the way they won it, scoring 21 points in the fourth quarter, I did not see that coming at all. But sure enough, they did it, and sitting right now at 4-1.
Well, Hoda, as you said, this ASU team finds ways to win, and they definitely did that tonight against Kansas. To stay locked in on everything Arizona State football related, go to DevilsDigest.com. Follow Devils Digest on Twitter @DevilsDigest. My name's Justin Lacertosa. That's publisher Hoda Urbino. We'll talk to you guys soon.